what I have here today is a DEKO, however you pronounce that name, a little inverter type welder. It's a 160 amps. It runs on a traditional welding plug for your 220. You've probably seen these before. It does come with the pigtail to adapt it from that, welding plug or your typical 3-prong plug back down to your standard 110 outlet. What you get in the box, quite frankly, is about 10 feet of ground clamp. And honestly and truly, the clamp could be better. The clamp's kind of trash. It's just bent sheet metal. It's not really that great, but for the money, it's not too bad. I think this welder by itself retails for either 160 or 170. The link will be in the description. Now the stinger end, or the electrode end itself, it's actually really nice. I'll get you some closer shots up here in a second. But the stinger itself is actually very nice. I would compare it, not quite to Lincoln and Miller standards, but it's a lot better than what I've seen on import style inverter welders before. It does have actual copper pads in it. They're not, copper coated pads. They are real copper. I've actually used this some already. So that's the welder itself. You can pick the welder up if you've already got a helmet, welding rods, gloves, slag hammer, everything else. That's the welder for basically 170 bucks straight off Amazon. One thing I did forget that comes with the box is this is your slag hammer and brush. Yeah, this is garbage. So you don't need that. Just go down to any home improvement store and buy you an actual wire brush. I picked this one up. I don't even know what I gave for this one, but I picked this one up. It's a real steel wire brush, and it's got this scraper / pointy bit on the end. Great for getting in there and getting the slag out of the grooves, especially when you're not exactly a pro welder. Now, what else do you get with the extra 80 bucks or so? Well, for one, you get these welding rods. Since this welder is an inverter style, it calls for a 60-13, not a 60-10. So these are great for around the house, in the shop, light welding, or multiple passes. I have gotten some pretty good penetration with these. I'll actually show you a weld that's laying right there cooling off that I did right before starting this video. These rods are okay. They're not the best. We're talking about 250 bucks here, to get started welding, to where you can pack something up real quick on a tractor implement or something real quick on a Mini X, reskin a bucket, something like that. This is more than enough. You're not trying to make money with this. My one gripe about these rods is the packaging they put it in. But the rods themselves are pretty nice rods, actually. They got a really good heavy flux on them. They're really nice. They are this 40 brand. Yeah, 40 is how you pronounce it. But this little plastic sheet that it comes in, you can see the bottom is trying to break out of it. And that's the way it came when it shipped. Whether that's, Amazon's reputable package handling, or that's the distributor's, cheapest box they could put it in. The last two things are the helmet and gloves. And these two things, the gloves themselves, these Black Stallion gloves, I've actually used these for years. These were like 30 bucks. I have stick welded, MIG welded, and TIG welded to these. They are flexible enough for TIG and MIG welding, but they have the correct finger reinforcement to do stick welding. Stick welding is the hottest form of welding you can do unless you're going to turn your TIG welder up to 300 amps. So these work really great. I have used these for a number of years. They work great. They're reasonably priced. Nothing bad to say about the gloves. The helmet, I think I paid 30 bucks for this. It's okay. Is it the best? No, it's not. It does auto darken the way it's supposed to. It does turn dark as soon as you strike the arc. One problem that I have with it, my building has fluorescent lights, and it's actually setting the auto darkening off if you look at the fluorescent lights. So that's, I've never had one do that. I've had a couple of these auto darkening helmets. I've had Miller's, I've had 3M. I've never had a Lincoln, but I've had a couple different Miller helmets, and none of them have done that. On the inside, you've got two dials, which is basically sensitivity and delay. You're an idiot if you don't set your delay to the minimum because you don't want to blind yourself. Your eyes are kind of important, and you were only given one set. Most people were given one set anyway. Some people that I work with, I question if they've got a full set or not. Outside of that, these rods, we talk about welding. These rods are actually rated, and this might be the machine too. These are 3/32 rods. They say run between 50 and 70 amps on the box, which is correct if you look up the specs. The problem that I have found is 50 to 70 amps, what this machine says, does not burn these rods the way they should burn. I've done a fair bit of welding in my career, in my lifetime, and they don't burn correctly. I have to crank it up somewhere between 80 and 100, depending on how cold it is. It was cold in the building this morning. I started off, the amperage are about 90, 95, and I ended up bringing it down to about 80. Once the metal got some heat in and everything was running the way it was supposed to. Again, I'm in central North Carolina, and you know, today is January something, mid-January, I don't even know the date. So it's running, you know, mid-50s, low 60s. If it was an 80, 90 degree day, these things would probably fire off at 80 amps, no problem. But because of, you know, it being kind of chilly this morning, it's about mid-50s in the shop. And, you know, I had to crank the amperage to get these to burn correctly. I'm going to get you some close-up shots to all this. That way you can kind of make your own decisions about the quality. Again, it does use DIN-style connectors. These are the push and twist lock kind. I don't have anything bad to say about these. They work great. They've got a what looks like a brass end on them, so that's good for conductivity. The wire is clearly strand wire like everything else. It's not going to be solid wire. Not for this price. The cable probably cost you 160 bucks. Let me get you a closer shot. Alright, so here is the little DEKO welder. It's a pretty nice welder. Knob's not too bad. It does feel like trash, but again, 160 bucks. This is supposed to be the better model. It's supposed to have lift TIG, and we'll try that. I'm waiting on a torch to come. But for the welder itself, pretty basic. Around the back of the machine, you've got the, you know, the flip toggle style on button. Cables themselves, like I said, the cable itself is, you know, complete focus. It's complete garbage. You know, this is just bent sheet metal. Very, you know, cheap's a word. Again, the stinger though, I can't say much about the focus. Stinger is a really nice quality stinger. You see I'm actually shaking a little bit to hold it open, but it's actually a very nice stinger. Again, the gloves are pretty good quality. Here's the 6013 rods. Again, this is a 3/32. There's the model number 30301. Pretty good rod. Can't particularly complain. Helmet. This is what I was talking about by the two buttons on the inside. Well, not buttons, but knobs on the inside. You got sensitivity and delay. I've got my sensitivity pretty high. I do have questions whether or not this is actually a shade 10, but you see whenever I go to look at the light, see how it's auto darkening and I'm not even to the light? Get you a further out view of that. See how it's wanting to auto darken. For you know, for a cheap welding helmet, I'm not complaining too bad, especially when you consider that's the weld. Now, partly me, partly the machine. This, and yes, I am on a circular saw table. If you were wondering, this saw's junk anyway. This is 1/4 inch steel, 1/4 inch, 1018 or A36, whatever you want to call it. And it's okay material. The material's fine. The problem that I found, again, it was cold, and you see my booger tack there. That was a booger tack there too, and you see that slagging there. But once I got running, there is a pinhole. Again, me, not the machine. But once the material got some heat in it, you see I kind of overcooked the material. You see the colors on it. But, you know, not too bad. I'm going to run a quick bead so you can see exactly what it looks like when, you know, somebody runs a bead straight off. See what the slag looks like and everything. So I call that good. How do you know you did it right? Get you a close up of that weld. Not too bad. Needs to be brushed. Well, I guess you can make the judgment call for yourself. Is a $250 welder worth it? Especially to get started with. Like I said, what I've got today, the gloves, the rods, the helmet, the welder, less than 250 bucks. I think I'm in this entire setup for like 240, 235. Don't exactly remember, give or take a couple bucks on tax, shipping, everything, etc. So that's all I've got. If you want to like and subscribe to help support the channel, also there'll be affiliate links to everything on this table if you want to start your own $250 welding setup. Like I said, works pretty good. Could it be better? Of course. If I didn't go out and buy a $2,000 Miller or a $3,000 Lincoln or whatever, I'm 250 bucks, and I can expand to lift TIG capability. Again, for 160 amps, I don't think you can beat it. Make sure you like and subscribe. Stay tuned. Got some interesting projects coming up.